Hi, this is Bill Abel with the Logos Learning Team. Thank you for attending today's live teaching, Basic Strategies for Studying Biblical Languages. I'm here to help you use Logos more effectively, and so you can make the most of your time in study. You will get a link to a recording of this session about an hour or so after we finish, and you can view that as many times as you want for the next 30 days. Before we start, I am using the desktop app today, loaded with the most recent or current version of Logos Max. This means that if you are following along in the mobile app or the web app, or you're on an older version of Logos, like Logos 8 or 9 or even 10 at this point, things will look different for you. And you might not see all the tools that I show here today. So if you have any questions, after the webinar about things that you might be missing, please go ahead and email me those questions, and I'll make sure to get you answered and squared away as soon as I can. There is a survey here today, as usual. Next to the Logos logo you see on the right side of the screen, you'll see a little link there. It says take the survey here. Please click on that when we finish here today or before we go. And make sure that you answer those questions. It'll only take you about 30 seconds, and it's very, very important, very crucial that we get answers to those so that we can improve our webinars and make them easier for you to get information from. So that's very important for us. Now, the live session today is scheduled for about 45 minutes. It can run a little bit longer if there are questions. If you can't stay until the end, no problem. Just please go ahead and take that survey before you go. And then don't forget to check your email later on for the link to the recording so that you can catch up with whatever you miss. Now, on the right side of the screen, you're going to see a chat section. You're going to see a Q&A section. You're going to see a handout section. They're all right next to each other. In the chat section, please put your name in there. Please put where you're logging in from. And please put how long you've been using Logos. That is all very, very useful information for us as we go through and review the webinars and the comments that are left here. So please make sure that you put that information in there. Now, if you have a question for me, please put that question in the Q&A section, which is right next to the chat. If you put a question in the chat, I might not see it. But if you put a question in the Q&A, I definitely will, because there's an indicator that says a question's been asked. So make sure that you put your questions for me that you want answered here today in the Q&A, and I'll do my best to answer your question here today. Sometimes I have to ask you to email me later the same question because I can't give you an answer quick enough, or I can't give you an answer in depth enough. So please just make sure you realize that as well. Now, the handout section is great. The handouts, I've got two of them there for you. One of them is a suggested resources handout, and that is contact information for me and for other people outside of the webinar in case you need help. There's a webinar guide, so you know all the classes I teach, and you can actually click on the titles right there and register for the next available class. And then you've got the resource guide. So that's going to help you pick resources like for this in particular, maybe lexicons or word dictionaries. Also, there's some commentaries and some Bible translations, things like that on there as well. The other handout is an outline of the class here today. There's some helpful links in there to other classes, to resources and things like that too. So make sure you have both of those, and definitely have the outline for later on when you watch the video, so you can follow along with that. Now, if you have any questions outside of the webinar, if it's about learning, go ahead and email me those questions. If you have questions about something that you're doing in Logos that's not working the way I said it would, or somebody else said it would, or you just have questions learning, send me your emails and let me know if you have those questions. I'll try to answer those. If you have questions about your library, what's in your library, what version of Logos are you using, things like that, call our library specialists at the phone number listed next to library there. They can help you with your library and with your Logos version and upgrading if that's what you want to do. Now, if you have questions like technical questions about the software, something's just not working the way you think it should, email our customer service department at the email address on the top there. Now, during normal business hours, you can call or you can chat with them as well, but the email works after hours as well. So please go ahead and make sure you have those three things written down. So if you have any questions outside of the webinar, you're definitely handled. Okay. Now, in today's webinar, we're going to explore how to use Logos to study the original language of the Bible more easily. Whether you're a beginner with no background in Greek or Hebrew, or maybe you're a seasoned studier of the original languages and you're in seminary or something like that, these tools can enhance your efficiency and effectiveness so that you are just more prepared to go in and learn more about the original languages. Now, why do we want to study the original languages? Sometimes people ask that because we've got great English translations, and these people work really hard to make sure that they translate the original languages into English for us, and into your language, whatever your language is, to make sure that we get a good understanding. But Moises Silva said, continued exposure to the original text expands our horizon and furnishes us with a fresh and more authentic perspective than that which we bring from our modern English-speaking translation. So by studying the original languages, we can gain a deeper understanding of the meaning of the text and its context, which can help us to avoid misunderstandings and misinterpretations that may arise from translations. You see, studying others' writings on the Bible can give us their insights into the interpretation of the Bible. However, true learning involves active participation and repetition. So, for example, you don't truly know how to ride a bike until you actually get on and practice balancing and pedaling. Now, digging into the original language of Scripture helps offer a deeper or more precise understanding of the text. So, if we skip that step and we just let somebody else tell us what the text means, that means we're merely accepting their interpretation without any question. And we may interpret something differently than someone else does. So let's make sure that we start to learn. If you don't know how to, these tools are going to help you. Trust me. You don't have to know the English or the Greek language. You don't have to know the Hebrew. Is it going to help? Sure, it would help. But these tools are set up for those that don't know the nuances of the language to help you learn that and help you bring that to your studies. So in this webinar, I'm going to show you how to navigate some of the original study tools in Logos to give you the skills to study the original languages of the Bible with or without a seminary degree. Now, this is not a Greek class. It's not a Hebrew class. It's not an Aramaic class. This is about tools in Logos that are going to help you study those original languages. And I've got some more classes too for you. So if you look on the screen now, you'll see 4 more classes. They're all listed and they're all in order. This is the first in the series that I have of 4 original languages. It would very much help you to follow the order. You don't have to. If you think this is too basic and you leave the class after 15 minutes, go to the next one and see if that one helps you. If that one's too basic, go to the next one. Just make sure that you try to follow along because I put them together that way and they'll be most helpful that way. So they're all listed on both handouts, by the way, and you can register for these classes from either of those handouts by clicking the title. If you have any problem with that, email me. All right. I want to make sure that you learn how to use the tools to study the original languages. I have so much fun, number one, and number two, I'm learning so much more and more every single day by studying the original languages. So I want you to get that as well. All right, excellent. Let's turn the camera off. Don't need that on anymore. We are going to get to our next screen here of Logos. There it is. And again, we're going to talk about the tools that we can find in Logos to help us with all of our original language studies. All right, so let's take a look. Now, the first thing we want to look at is you've got a lot of different Bibles in your library, okay? Depending on which package you have, which library package you purchased. And again, that's a question for your library specialist. I'll show you that phone number again later if you didn't write it down, but that's a question for them. What Bibles do I actually have? You should have some of the following, all right? Maybe not the exact versions I show you, but you should have some of the following. So I've got a couple of original language Bibles I'm going to show you really quick. All right, let's go to my screen. The first one I'm going to show you is the NA28. Now, this is very popular, all right, this Bible. This is the Greek text, okay, in its original language. and the Nestle Aland Greek New Testament 28th edition. This is available in print or digital, and it's a very good translation. I just started, just so you know, I'm not very good with Greek or Hebrew. I did take a couple of classes in seminary, but it kind of goes out of your brain after you don't study it for a while. So I know a little bit of it, but not enough. But now I'm starting to come back now that I'm using these tools, and I'm able to read some of this stuff in the Greek New Testament, and it's absolutely fascinating to be able to read it in the original languages. So we've got the Greek, and we've got actually Hebrew too. Here's a Hebrew text. So we've got the original Greek, we've got the original Hebrew of the Old Testament as well. All right. These are, again, original language texts. Now, we've also got some original language texts with help built into them so that we can understand them more from an English perspective. So let's close these, and I'm going to open up those other Greek texts. So one of them is the Lexham Greek English Interlinear New Testament. So this is the Greek language, right? And it's an interlinear Bible. I'll show you what that means in a second. I've also got my Lexham Hebrew Interlinear Bible. Now, this one came up with the Interlinear open, so you're seeing it a little bit. The interlinears in these Bibles are helps built into the text so that we can start to recognize in English what these words mean, and we can study the grammar that's behind it and the different variations of the text as well. So I'm going to turn this interlinear on as well. We'll take a look at that. So this is an interlinear, okay? An interlinear Bible has the original text up here at the top. It's the main text, is the original manuscript text. So here's Greek, and then this is the Hebrew, right? And remember, Hebrew we read right to left, which is why it totally throws me off. But you've got the tools here that are going to help you with that. And then inside of here, you've got some more Greek that's explained a little bit more to you. You've got morphology, so your grammar is built into it. Your grammar is built into the Hebrew as well. And then you've got some English language helps down here, down below. So you've got the lexical form of the word. You've got the actual English translation right here. And then you've got some resources. You've got the Strong's number so you can get definitions. You've got the Loneida number here for meanings, the semantic ranges as well. So you've got some good, nice help inside of these original language interlinear Bibles. All right. Now, the third version or third type I want to show you, let's close those. That's our Bible, and that's our English translation Bible. Now, again, if you're using a different translation as your main translation, I'm not sure, to be honest with you, what has interlinears and what don't. That's another question for your library specialist. And if you're outside of the U.S., the phone number I gave you won't work. So if you're outside of the U.S. and you have questions about your library and about interlinears and things like that, just email our sales team, and they will definitely help you out with that. Okay? All right. So we've got our Bible now. Now, what's cool about the Bible? All right. The Bible, our Bible translations also have an interlinear built in. And in fact, we call it a reverse interlinear because it starts with the English language and then adds in helps in the original language text. So a lot of these things you're going to see are the same. Actually, let's go back and open up that Greek interlinear. There we go. And you'll see here, they look very similar, don't they? One has English at the top. That's the main text. This has the Greek as the main text. Inside, you've got original language help, and that includes the original manuscript word. And inside of here, it's got an explanation of that original language. Then you've got morphology. You've got the Strong's number. You've got the Loneida and the Loneida. So you've got a lot of similar tools, actually a little bit more in the English translation Bibles that we have here with the interlinear. So this is what we're going to be looking at here today. Plus, we've got a couple of tools that are built off of the interlinear that we're going to be looking at as well. So I want you to know that if you see these different types of Bibles in your library or these different types of translations and things like that, you know what they are, and you can go to them as you want to or as you need to. You can start in your English language though, because they have the interlinear built in, or most of them do. Now, not all translations have the interlinear. So that's another question you're going to have to ask your library specialist if you don't see it here today, or when you're watching this later on. This is a question you're going to have to ask them. Does my Bible translation have an interlinear? Now, in the handout I gave you, it's got translations listed in there. There's 4 or 5 of them that I list in there that are English translations that I know come with an interlinear, all right, in all of our packages. So I think that's ESV, CJB, or not CJB, the Christian Standard Bible, the KJV, I think is the Lexham English Bible. Those all have an interlinear built in. And this is where you find it. You're going to go into the View tab in your toolbar up the top, okay, and click on it. And you should see the label interlinear. All right. Now I got to turn it off right now. But you should see that label interlinear. When you click this little arrow, you should have the option to turn it on and then have all these options here to turn on and off. If you don't, that means you don't have the interlinear built in. So you have to either switch to one of the translations that are listed in your handout that tell you they have the interlinear, or call your library specialist and ask them how you get the interlinear for whatever translation you're looking at. Again, some of them don't have an interlinear available, but many of them do. The NASB 95 I use, that's my preferred Bible. I had to buy the interlinear separate. Okay, but you have to have it. The Bible translation you're using, if you want to do any original language study, has to have an interlinear built into it. Okay, it has to, because the interlinear drives all the information built into the interlinear, drives all of the other tools that I'm going to show you here today and in the other classes. It drives the original language information. So please make sure whatever translation you're using has an interlinear built in. If you have problems with that, email me. If you have questions on where it is, or if you really have one or whatever, you can email me if you want to. The best way to do it is to call your library specialist, because if you don't have one, they can make sure you get one. Okay. I can't. It's going to be an extra step. So I may tell you, hey, it doesn't look like you have one. Call a library specialist. That might be my response. All right. Okay. Interlinear. Really, really important here. Okay. So Logos Bible translations have a reverse interlinear built in to display the English translation plus the corresponding Greek or Hebrew, if we're looking at Hebrew, and the same resource shortcuts for study. So if I open up, I'm just going to open up another Bible, and we'll go to Genesis 3:1 here. Oops. I always forget you have to actually choose. Now, there we go. Now, you'll look in the in Genesis here. Let me turn my notes off so that doesn't throw everybody off. There we go. So you'll see the Old Testament also has an interlinear built in. Okay, I've got full use of an interlinear in my Hebrew Bible as well, or in the Old Testament, I should say. It's the same Bible, just this is the Old Testament, this is the New Testament. In my classes, I focus on Greek because it's a little bit easier for me to understand and explain than it is Hebrew, but the tools are very similar or exactly the same. All right, just so you know that. Now, what are these different categories here? Because that's important to us. What do we want to see in the text when we turn the interlinear on? Now, remember, we don't have to have it on. It can be turned off. Okay. The information's still here in the script, or in the manuscript, okay, or in the text. It's still here. It's still active. It's still working, and I'll show you that here in a second. But it's just not displayed. So if I turn it on, that information is now displayed. Now we can, in the display, turn one or more or all, whatever we want. We can turn some of this information off. So if we're doing a specific study and we don't need all of the information, we can turn some of it off. What if you're doing just root studies? I'm just going to turn everything off but the root, and maybe we'll leave the morphology and the Strongs on. You can do that. You can go in and turn on or off any of the information that you want and be able to go in and study. You can also change the view. So right now we are looking at the inline reverse interlinear view. That means it's in line with the text. But there's also this bottom view, which is called reverse interlinear pane. Watch what happens. Turn it on. There's a little window pane down here, or menu pane, or whatever you want to call it, down here at the bottom with the same information. Now, the only thing is you have to kind of line it up. So you could take this and drag it left if you want to and line it up. This gives you a little bit more flexibility on where it sits with the text. So, and also in the inline view, you can click on and off these different categories. In the reverse interlinear, you come over to the labels and just right click, and you can turn these on and off. So sometimes I'll use some of the options up top and then some of the options down below. Or some people just use the reverse pane because they like to just read the text as it is. And then if they want to go down and look at the information, they go down here and look at the information. Normally, I use just the inline view. I just like it right there in the text, but it's totally customizable for you. Again, you can use one view, the other view, both views, and change them however you want to use them. Okay. Now, what are all these categories? All right. When we look at this, what the heck is, all right, there's the manuscript. That's pretty self-explanatory. It's the original manuscript, right? And that's right below the surface text. So the surface text is your English translation. And then you've got manuscript right below that. So that's the original manuscript text right here underneath the English. Then you've got what's called a transliteration of the manuscript. Now, a transliteration, you're going to see what that is. That is a phonetic spelling in English. So what they did was they took each letter in Greek and they translated that to the corresponding English letter. So there's the lambda, omicron, gamma, omicron, sigma, right? That's in the Greek. But this is English. Logos, those correspond. So it's a transliteration, phonetic spelling in English of each of those letters, so you can kind of get an understanding of what's being written there if you don't understand the Greek language. Pretty handy to have there. It's pretty awesome to have there, actually. All right, so you've got a transliteration. You also have, besides the manuscript, you have what's called a lemma. All right, let's skip the transliteration there for a second. The next one down is the lemma. That is the dictionary form of this manuscript word. So when we are going in and we're looking up meanings of words, we see the original manuscript, and the manuscript words are in a specific form for that translation. Okay, it's a specific form being used here and translated a specific way. The next one down, the lemma or the dictionary form, that's the one we want to look up. We want to find the meaning of the lemma, because then we can see all the different uses of that. And you can get more information. You can dig in a little bit deeper and understand a little bit more. So we don't really want to look at meanings of manuscript words. We have the translation for that. When we want to look up meanings, we look up the dictionary form or the lemma, right? Then the next one down there you'll see is a transliterated lemma. So sometimes they're the same. Like this manuscript word and this lemma are the same. The transliteration is of the lemma. Then we come down here and we have the root. All right, now we have the root of the word. Where does the root begin, or the word begin? There's the transliteration of the root. Okay, next one is the morphology or the grammar. Next one is the Strong's number. Now these blue numbers in here, you're going to see they have hyperlinks built into them. Usually when you see blue font in Logos, you're gonna know that this is a hyperlink that sits underneath here. So you can hover on it, you get a little bit of information in a preview pane here that pops up, or you can click on it and go right to a resource with that information. I'll show you that in a second. But this is the Strong's number that's tied to definitions of this word. Okay. And then the one down here is the Lonida number. That's actually tied to a semantic range of meanings. So you're going to get several different meanings that could apply to how this is being used here. All right. So I would look at both. Strong's is a little bit old-fashioned, some people say, because you're really just looking at a definition. But the Loneita, to me, is very valuable to have that number there because you can look up the meaning, the actual meaning of what's going on here. So sometimes we have a translation, we have a definition, and we have a meaning, and sometimes they're not the same. They're all worth looking at, but they're not. Sometimes they're not the same, and you've got to disseminate what's going on there. Okay. Now, if you've forgotten what I've told you, if I went too fast, which I hope I didn't, but if I did, there's a tool that's going to help you. All right. Very quickly, I'm going to show you this tool. Go to your command box. It's up at the top left corner. And I want you to type in here, open, reverse, interlinear explorer. Okay. I want you to type that. Now, before you click on it to open it, I'm going to show you how to add a shortcut that you can at least use temporarily to access this tool. Now, once you type it in the command box, you're going to see some options here. The first one should say Books, Open, Reverse, Interlinear Explorer. It may not. It may be further down the list, but you should see that. If you don't, let me know. Okay, email me and let me know, and we'll try to help you out with that. But Reverse Interlinear Explorer, that's what we're going to use. This is a tool. So before I open it, I'm going to left click, hold it, drag it, and drop it into my shortcut menu down here. Okay, because I want access to that, quick access whenever I need it until I get used to what all these things are. Okay, then you can get rid of it if you want to. But I would say put this in your shortcut bar if you can, if you have room there, and click on it to open it. Choose one of the verses to get started. It doesn't matter which one you choose. It doesn't matter if you're in a different verse here. I actually happen to be in John 1:1, so I'm going to click on John 1:1 here. And when I do that, Logos is going to start telling me what each one of these different sections are. And I can match those up to the menu if I want to, or I can just match them up here. Okay, so I see the translation text, that's the English. That's that first text right there, translation text. Actually, in the interlinear, it's called surface, but it's the translation text. Okay, the next one, we're going to click the next page, which is down at the bottom. These are all the page numbers here down at the bottom. See, I'm on page 2. Page 3, I'm going to click on, and it says the manuscript. That's the next line down here, and you'll see it. They show you the next line underneath. The English translation is the manuscript text. Again, matches up with the box here, right? With the window pane. Let's go to the next one really quick. I'm not going to click on all these, but transliteration. Remember we talked about the transliteration? It shows you the next line down, the English phonetic spelling, the transliteration of the word, right? Of the Greek word. And you'll see that over here as well. That's the third one down. So you can follow this all the way through. You'll see there's multiple pages. Follow it through. Get used to what these different things are so that you know that when you're using this. You know that when you're choosing what you want to see in the display. Or if you're going to use other tools, you should know what these different terms are. All right. So hopefully you did that. Hopefully you went up to your command box, typed it in, dragged it down, and opened it up here. Now we can close it. We don't need it. You can come back to it because you've got it on your desktop there, right? Or you can watch this later and catch it again. But now we know what the interlinear is, right? We know we have the interlinear because we see it in our Bible translation. Again, if you don't see it, here's where it is again. View tab, okay? In your dynamic toolbar here. Now, if you're on an older version of Logos, you've got a different toolbar. And you're only going to see this little icon in yours, okay? If you don't see this icon in an older version, you don't have the interlinear built in. It's the same interlinear for older users, or for older versions, but it looks different in the toolbar, all right? If you have this, great, you're good to go. If not, switch to one of the translations I have listed there. ESV is the easiest one to switch to. And you'll be okay, good to go, at least for now, and then talk to your library specialist about that. Okay, now let's close that. Actually, we'll keep it closed for right now. Let's open up another Bible because there's another tool that I want to show you that is very similar as well. All right. Let's open our interlinear again on this side, not on the other side. And we're going to look at that word beginning over here. All right. You see, there's your manuscript. There's your transliteration. There's your lemma or your dictionary form of the word. There's the transliteration of that. You see those, right? Now let's go in. I'm going to right click on the word beginning. All right. When I choose a word that I want to study, and I've already chosen beginning on this side, so I come over to the right, I choose beginning. I want to study that word beginning. I'm going to right click on it. And this menu that pops up is called the context menu. Now, please get used to that term. You're going to hear context menu in a lot of different webinars that you see with Logos because it's very useful. And you're going to see different tools presented to you from different people about the context menu. So please keep that term in your mind. If you're taking notes, write it down, context menu. You right click on a word and you'll find the context menu. All right. We are studying the words, okay? We're studying original language words, nothing else. So we're gonna concentrate on the section between this line and this line. This is all original language word tools that we're going to be concentrating on. Now today, we're going to go over a couple of these options. In the next class, we're going to go over the rest of these options, okay? So in this class, we're going to talk about the manuscript word and the root, all right? Check this out. Here's the manuscript word. There's the transliteration. It even tells you this is a noun. Okay. That matches up with there's the manuscript word. There's the transliteration. The next one down, this is the lemma. Okay. The dictionary form. There's the word. There's the transliteration. It can be translated as beginning. It could be translated as ruler. So now this is a really interesting word that you're going to want to study and see, well, it's translated as beginning here, but where is it translated as ruler? We'll have to figure out how to study for that. All right. And we'll do that. Next one down is the root. Okay. That matches up here. Here's the root. Here's the here's the root. Here's the transliteration of the root. There's the root. There's the transliteration. And that is translated as begin. Okay. All right. So now you see that this follows along with your interlinear. And as a matter of fact, it's got some extra tools. So we see the root and the transliteration. Then we see the morphology right here in the interlinear. Here's the morphology, and it spells it out for you. Then you've got the Strong's number. Here's the Strong's number, matches up. There's the Lonida. There's the Lonida number. And this actually in the context menu has what's called a biblical sense of the word. Now this ties to the semantic meaning too. This means how is it being used here? Oops, I didn't mean to click on that. Don't worry about it. How is this being used in this context? In the beginning, right? In the beginning of the world was the word. Okay, not just the beginning of what? Here it's telling you it's the beginning of the world. This is the beginning of everything, right? Was the word. So your context menu follows your interlinear. Okay, we're going to come back to the context menu, but I have another tool I want to show you. Okay, that is called the info panel. So let's go to the tools menu. Let's go click on information. That's going to open up the info panel over here. Now you'll notice it's empty, and that's okay. As you click on different words here, now this is not a right click, it's a left click. As you click on different words, the info panel is going to fill in with information. So if I click on that word beginning, I'm going to get some information here. First thing I get is some definitions, some short definitions, some previews of definitions. I'm going to get some options here to open dictionaries, some kind of a dictionary or lexicon, possibly. Here's a lexicon. I can open these up and dig in a little bit deeper right from the information panel if I want to. But here's the section I really want you to see between this line and this line. Very similar to the information you're seeing here in the interlinear and the information that you're seeing in the context menu. Very similar information. Okay, there's your manuscript word. the transliteration, the lemma or dictionary form, transliteration. You even have a speaker here that'll tell you how to pronounce it. It tells you again here, it can be translated as beginning or ruler, or is mainly translated as beginning or ruler. Root, transliteration, morphology, Strong's, Lonida, biblical sense of the word. So you've got that tool you can use either as well. As you get used to them, you're either going to pick one or two that you favor. You might use all three of them at one time. I typically use the context menu. So I'm going to teach you how to use that context menu, and then you can translate that or transfer that knowledge to either the interlinear or the information panel. Now, here the differences are ways that we study these words. So there are specific tools in the information panel that are built in, and you'll notice the blue here. Okay, that means there's a hyperlink in here. That means there's more information found here. Okay, so we've got that information. Now, let's go back again. All right, let's go back to let's close the information panel. Let's close our interlinear. And actually, let's go ahead and close that Bible. All right. Now we're going to start looking at the context menu, because that's really what I want to show you. And there's two things I want to show you immediately right off the bat. Okay. Number one, we're going to look at the manuscript word, and we're going to look at the root here today. We're going to skip the lemma, come back to that in the next class. But we're going to look at the manuscript word, and we're going to look at the root. Okay. The reason that we're doing that is because the tools that we have to study those are very similar. So it'll be easier to kind of bounce back and forth and see those. Left side of the context menu are your options to study. These are things that you can study that have to do with the script that you're looking at. Okay. These are the options. On the right side, you're going to see tools to study those options with. And they change as you click on different options. Those tools are going to change. Here's the manuscript word. Click on it. See those tools? They're different than if I click on the lemma. There's a lot more tools for the lemma. Now, the lemma is what Logos connects to mostly. So it's the basic dictionary form of the word. We tie our biblical word searches to the lemma so that we can search the Bible, not again just by the word, but by the word's meaning. We want to see that. We want to see other places in the Bible, maybe other words mean the same thing. So we want to see that, and we do that through the lemma, by studying the lemma. This is how we dig deeper into understanding the text inside of Logos. So we use the lemma a lot. So get used to that. Lemma is the dictionary form, or the lexical form. Some people say it's the lexical form, the dictionary form. Here's the difference. If we went in and we looked at, let's look at a word like, let's go to Romans 1:18. And we see that word revealed. Okay. This is the English translation of the manuscript word. So let's right click, and we're going to see the different options here. Here's the manuscript word. It's apocalyptai. Okay. The lemma is actually apocalypto, and it ties to the word reveal without that ed. So it's the dictionary form. It's the one we would look at. If we were looking up in an English dictionary for the word revealed, we wouldn't look up revealed. We'd look up reveal without the ed. So it's the same thing. We're going to look up the dictionary form so that we can get all the forms that are tied to it. Okay. All right. So we got that. So here's the manuscript form. Click on it. Here are the things we can use to look up the manuscript form, and they'll be different for the different words that we choose. As you can see here, there's a few tools here for lookup, to look up this word, right? Apocalyptai. But if we go backwards, let's go back to John 1:1, click on beginning again, click on the manuscript word. There's more tools here that we can look up that Oops, I'm sorry. Didn't mean to do that. That manuscript word with. Okay. And the only thing that's different is the word that we're looking up. So there's more resources in my library that talk about the word arche than there is about the word apocalyptai. All right. All right. So let's take a look at those. Okay. We have searches. We can do searches. That's mainly what we're going to do here with our manuscript word. We're going to look for other places that we see that word as the manuscript word. All right. Now, the first option we have is an inline search. I very rarely use this for word studies, but you can. So I clicked on inline, right? And I should have probably showed you that very more. So let's do that. I'm on the manuscript word. Here's the search. Okay. Don't worry about this. It just tells you this is the manuscript word. That's what it is. You can copy it if you want to over here. All right. This is what we're concerned about right now, the searching of it. We want to see where else we can find that word in the New Testament. So if I click on inline, that's our inline search in our Bible. I can find all the instances of that word arche in the original manuscript. So I'm not looking for beginning. As you can see here, this one is first. It's been translated as first, right? Not beginning, but first. Now, does it mean the same thing? Probably, but beginning. Okay. I mean, it's arche is what we're looking for. So here are all the instances that we see that in our Bible. We have other ways we can search. Let's go back to our context menu. We can search. We can do a Bible search in our main search tool. Let's click on that. Now, what's cool about this is we can see all the instances right away. We don't have to scroll through our Bible. We can see all the instances right here. There's 12 results and 12 verses. We can also change our Bible. So right now I'm only looking in the NASB. I could change to a different translation here. I could have all 5 of my top prioritized Bibles here. I could have all my Bibles if I want to. If I've got several different Bibles open already, I could choose those. So I've got more options here to be able to change which Bible, or if I want multiple Bibles, I can change that here in a Bible search. Okay. All right. Let's go back. We looked at inline and Bible. This book. If I do that, I'm basically going to get the same results as I have here because I'm looking in the New American Standard. All right. All open. That means if I have several open, let's open up our Nestle Aland that we looked at earlier. Let's open up our Greek New Testament right there, or the interlinear. And now let's do that search. We'll see all open. Click on that. Now Logos is looking at the books that I have open here. My NASB, my NA28, and my interlinear. Now this is real helpful if you're in seminary or you need to use just specific books to do your studies. Have those books open and do your search here. And now you're just looking at the open books, right? And then the next one is books. So now I did an all Bible search. You saw that here. Okay, so I looked in my Bible, my whole Bible, and I could change that to all my Bibles if I want to. There we go. Now I'm looking at all my Bibles, right? The book search is similar, but I'm looking at all my books in my library, not just the Bibles, but all my books. So here we go. Here's all my books that I'm looking at to find that word arche. Okay. So pretty easy. You can do an all search as well. This is in our main search tool in Logos. It's the same tool as you're using here. We're just going to do an all search. Now I'm searching all resources. And again, not just my resources, right? These are not in an all search in Logos. This is not just my resources. These are the resources in Logos, all of them. So sometimes I'm going to get resources that pop up and they have little locks on them. I don't see any here, but you'll see locks on them. And that means that I can't see those because I don't own those. I'll have an option to buy them, but I don't have those. So this is an all search. This is all of Logos's resources. Okay. Those are the differences in the searches inside your context menu for your manuscript word. Okay. Now, before I get to the lookup section here, I want to show you this. Go to the root. And you'll see very similar ideas here, similar searches that you can do here. This one searches just for that word arche. There's your search. That's in 482 results and 454 verses. Okay, so it's just looking for that word, not translated as beginning, not used the same way, but it's just looking for that word. Okay, the next one, inline. I showed you that before. You click on inline, that's going to show you inside your Bible. Okay, very similar, but you're looking for the root now instead of the manuscript word. Bible search, already showed you that. All open and books, already showed you those, right? You're looking for the root here now, but I showed you the searches already. Here's an interesting one. This is one where we're looking for that root, RK, and we've also attached the morphology here. So I'm only looking for specific uses of that word RK, and it has to be a noun. I don't remember what the letters stand for, but let's click on it. There you go. Now it's specific uses of the grammar attached to that root. Okay. So those are the different things that you're going to see for manuscript words, for root words in your searches inside this context menu. Okay. Now let's go back to the manuscript word, and we have a lookup section here. You don't have that in your root. Okay. Now the lookup section is basically a shortcut, and it's a shortcut to specific resources. Okay. So if you see the lookup section, we're going to look up this word in one of these resources. Okay. So if I click on the first one, that's going to open up my Lexham Research Lexicon of the Greek New Testament. Highly recommend if you're studying Greek or you're starting to learn how to look into the Greek, you're going to get this resource. All right. It's listed in the handout I gave you. Talk to your library specialist about this. For beginners, this is probably the easiest resource to use for the Greek language. All right. And the Hebrew version is excellent too. There's a Lexham Research Lexicon of the Hebrew Testament as well. Okay. So talk to your library specialist about those. But here I can open it up and I can see here's the word, right? Here's the transliteration, a couple different forms for the endings. What does it mean? Here's a Hebrew equivalent. Here's how it's used in different places. So that's what we want to see here. We want to look at, if we click on we open that up again, the lookup section, those are shortcuts to our resources. There's another resource. All right, you'll see a couple of other shortcuts there. One is for the power lookup. Now, the power lookup is really neat too, because this is a tool that is, it's dependent on what you're looking up. So the tool is very similar when you open it, but the results are different. So let's click on power lookup, and we see that word RK. And here, this is neat because we see all of the resources in my library that talk about RK, the manuscript word here in this instance, and gives us links to all these different resources. And we don't just have 4 or 5 of them. We have all of my resources. Every resource in my library here has a little bit of a preview, and then it gives me a link to the resource if I want to open it. So that's pretty cool in here. Now you're going to get different results on the different things that you click on. Okay, I won't go into the power lookup. This is not a webinar on the power lookup. It's just showing you can use that for this purpose and get some good results. All right. The last one that's listed there is the Perseus web lookup. That's a web resource where you can look up even more definitions of things. I don't use it very often, but other people do and they like it. You can use it if you want to. Okay. Okay. I gave you a lot of information. I want to answer some questions. We have another class that we're going to be doing called Next Level Strategies for Studying Biblical Languages. I think it runs next week. So make sure you register for that class so that you can take the next step, okay, and start learning more about the lemmas and how you can study the lemma in Logos. Okay. All right. Let's answer some questions before we go. James is asking. Oh, well, James just put his name in there, so there's no question. So I don't have any questions. So that's amazing. I usually have lots of questions there. If you do have questions, okay, I gave you tons of information here, all right, about the interlinear, about the context menu. I gave you the info panel, how to look things up. I gave you those terms, manuscript word, lemma. I'm going to turn my camera on, by the way. lemma, root. I gave you a lot of terms in here. All right. I gave you the reverse interlinear explorer. Remember that? That's going to explain some of those terms as well. Please make sure you watch this again. Please make sure you use the outline so that you can follow it through, and then sign up for the next class. Okay. So you can take the next step and grow. I promise you that if you start using these tools, you are going to see a different side of this, of the text. And you're going to study and read the Bible a lot more and be a lot more understanding of what's going on. And you're going to ask a lot of questions. I feel really good about what you're going to be doing with your pastor. If you're a churchgoer, please go see your pastor. Please go see your professors. Ask them about different meanings. Ask them how things could be used in different ways. This is a great way to do it. Okay, excellent. Let's get our screen up here. Before we go, please make sure you take the survey. It's really important to us that you take the survey. There's my email address. If you have any questions as you're studying, as you're looking through, as you're using Logos, and something stumps you or something, use my email. Email me. I'll try to answer you as fast as I can. And if I don't have the answer, I'll get the answer for you. All right. Our library specialist phone number is right there. Ask them, call them. If you're unsure about having an interlinear, if you're unsure about or you want to add some of the lexicon, at least the Greek lexicon I showed you here today, look at the list I gave you in your resources guide. Talk to your library specialist, see what you can use. I recommend the Lexham Research Lexicons. There's 5 of them, and they're used for different things. So I recommend those. Make sure you talk to them about those as well. All right. Excellent. Have a great day. God bless. We'll see you at another webinar, hopefully soon. Hopefully next week you'll sign up for the other class. That's next. That's, again, next level strategies for studying biblical languages. Hopefully we'll see you then. Have a good day. God bless, and we'll see you soon. Bye-bye.